the evolution of slavery?
Well, if you look at it, they just call themselves putting it where we don't understand it again, because everything we don't understand, they take and use it against us. So it evolved by being incarcerated. Because when a person is incarcerated, now you throw yourself back into being a slave.
Evolution of slavery.
Okay, easy. We're just a slave to someone else. I mean, like, the evolution of slavery is not Jim Crow anymore. Excuse me, it was slavery, then it was Reconstruction, then it was Jim Crow. And now we're in this weird new slavery. Like, we're a slave to the idea of slavery. Case in point, phones. I mean, like, we can't even be around each other. We can't have a conversation. I can have a conversation with you and fact checking, and I'm guilty of it. I'm guilty of it. I am on my phone. I don't know how to wait anymore. I can't go to a place where I need to get something or wait in line like a person. I'm going to break out my phone. I'm going to scroll through Instagram. I'm going to do these things because, to some degree, I'm a slave with my phone. So I got to detox from that. And normally when I put up my phone and I have an actual conversation like this podcast, I feel good because I did not touch my phone one time since I've been in here, because I can engage with people and I can talk to people and I can do that. But there's a new form of slavery. So since I'm looking at this screen that takes up half my life, I can put whatever message I want. So it's not exactly someone whipping me and telling me how horrible I am or I got to pick cotton or anything like that. The new slave is just like, you make me want to do it because such and such does this and such look cool looking at this. I want to look cool too. So I want to look like the person in my phone. And then I'm going to do that thing. I'm going to buy that thing. I'm going to do all of those things that make it happen until that thing is no longer cool no more, because it ain't about money. It's not about economics. It's about status. And now this little thing in my pocket makes me feel like I'm just as equal to some of the most important people in the world, mainly because I have the access to them because I could send a tweet. So since I could do that, now I am just on your level. So now I need to be better than what I'm seeing. So I need to be the innovator. I need to do all of this stuff, all because this little machine in my pocket told me I could. New form of slavery. It's called your phone. Put it away. Talk to someone. Read a book. Have a good conversation.
It took a while for the emancipation to spread across the country.
Took years.
Yeah, it took years, but watch night service on New Year's was just to make sure.
That's the whole aspect of Juneteenth, as far as how long it took for them down south to realize.
Even after that.
You had people. I think
you had people pretty much enslaved. I mean, they were sharecroppers, and they were forced to the land.
I don't remember, and I apologize for not having the information, and I'll try to look it up for the next time. But I know that when I think we were probably in like middle school, but I do recall sometime in the mid 80s that there was a news story where they talked about finding a few black people that were someplace on a plantation in the South that did not know that they were that.
Really?
Yeah. I forgot how long it was, but they had been kept pretty much obscurity and did not know.
They had a record. I don't know if y'all are aware of it, but there was the northern people would sometimes adopt children from the South to work on the farm and be like friends to their kids, and they used to castrate the black boys. And one of the most famous people of that was George Washington Carver. He was castrated as a child.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's so deep. Story. It's deep, isn't it?
That's what allowed him to stay focused.
Allowed him to stay focused, and why his voice never changed. He had a voice like a woman. Wow. But that was the reason I always wondered why he was allowed to be so familiar with, white supremacists such as Henry Ford.
Yeah. Henry Ford loved him to show him off as his token black.
Right, because he was of no threat to him because he was castrated. But the whole thing is, historically speaking, we think of emancipation being the end when it was really just the beginning.
I felt it coming, but you just got to say it plain. There are some of us who are wage slaves.
Well, we've
Been there.
We're all there.
You know,
All kind of wage slaves.
All kind of
and what I mean by that is you settle because it's the best thing you can get right now.
Mm-hmm.
And you get not necessarily complacent, but
complacent.
but the ceiling starts to lower itself on you and you say, man, this is what's maintaining us right now. I can't afford to move and take a risk on something else. And I'm settled here. I know what I'll be able to do. I know that I might not have enough for everything we need, but I can cover 60% of what we need and survive.
That psychological slavery.
That's
kicks
scared.
in.
Yeah.
Scared money don't make money. That's what they saying. You can't ever change hours for dollars, and I learned that because I think we all kind of been wage slaves. I know I was,
Oh,
still am.
Yeah.
But the thing about it is, you have that, but you have people that can work the system and don't have to work. I just don't know how to do.
Listen, but they give up a great deal of autonomy.
Yeah, they do.
They allow people to the government
All
to
into
pry
that.
into their personal
Well,
lives,
they're doing that anyway.
and everybody's being surveilled.
Right.
But they willingly come in and fork it over,
Mm-hmm.
and they subject themselves to classism every time they need to get something, because the gatekeepers are just ahead of them slightly, and they treat them like, oh, you are so beneath me because I'm serving your need.
Enslavement has evolved into a more, I believe, technocratic form. Neoliberalism is a tremendous example, in my opinion. Neoliberalism is defined as a political approach that favors free market capitalism, deregulation, and reduction in government spending, according to the Oxford Dictionary. Neoliberalism has brought us voting machines, the World Economic Forum, which is the 2,000 largest corporations on the planet deciding the fate of the world, Pfizer-mandated jabs, and endless wars of aggression. The United States had a regulated market economy from 1935 to 1979. The regulated market economy made the world's first true middle class, not the free market economy. We saw this in Detroit, where for the first time in history, manual laborers in automobile plants, for example, could actually afford the luxury items they were making.
Entrepreneurial programs for black people that were in the 70s and 80s when we saw Detroit as epicenter for the black middle class, where the richest black people in America and pretty much the world live.
One could make a decent living and provide for their families because they were able to make a livable wage, and the wage structures were protected through unions and organized labor. Pontiac, where I'm from, was a pretty good example. One of the things you expect school to do is prepare you for life after, particularly if you're at high school level. That's the end of the K-12 process, and you're supposed to be preparing for the world of work. You're supposed to be preparing to go to college. But in many of the classes, and I'm thinking this might happen in Detroit as well, where if a teacher were upbraiding or chastising a student about not performing well in school, you better make a passing grade in this class, and the kids were kind of like, or what? And a lot of times, or you won't be able to go to college, you won't be able to get an education at the post-secondary level, those type of things. And the kids will say, well, I'm not going to college. I'm going to be making more money than you in the plant. My uncle's going to get me a job. And that would be the response. And a lot of times, the educators didn't really have much. They didn't have much smoke for that. I mean, what's your retort going to be? Because there's a lot of truth in that. Someone going in the plant in the 70s and 80s could easily make more than a teacher in terms of regular salary, and particularly if they were working overtime. So you made a very good livable wage, but all that is being destroyed with what we call free market economy. Neoliberal presidents include, and mainly kind of started more so with Bush recently, Reagan, then Bush, Clinton, Biden, Obama. So it just shows that this form of economics is a bipartisan agenda since it involves both parties. Basically, neoliberalism permits large corporations to independently dictate wage and price structures and rape and pillage communities and continents of natural and human resources without governmental oversight and interference. The neoliberal globalization is free market ideology. It is fascism. What is fascism? One definition of fascism is when the public and private sectors merge so that you can't tell the difference. Neoliberalism has brought you privatization, deregulation, free markets, liberated markets, borderless markets, inner protections for national industries, flexible workforces, low-wage workers. Poor from other countries immigrating to the United States, for example, undermine the wage structure in this country. The removal of borders. No OSHA, no child labor laws. No unions. Neoliberal ideology is what made billionaires out of millionaires. So therefore, neoliberalism is a new form of slavery.